Can you go into a little bit of what you want to tell these elected officials tomorrow after you get sworn in?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
What to expect on the first and the second speeches?
Well, listen. We're not. You're going to have copies of those speeches tomorrow. They are related speeches. Some of the words will be the same words. The speech to the joint session is a longer speech, which is to say the one that will be delivered at the Armory is the shorter one. How long they take will depend on how nervous I am and how much applause there is. And beyond that, I am preparing the people of Connecticut for the challenge that lays before them, which is the largest, to the best of my knowledge currently, largest per capita adjusted deficit in the nation. A deficit that I can't cut my way out of, nor can I tax my way out of. You've all heard that before. It is worth repeating, in my opinion, and so we'll do some of that tomorrow.
Some people in this building have said to me that they don't think that you have really set the tone very well, that you ought to immediately declare a state of emergency when you are sworn in, and because that's exactly what we're facing here. And that also, it's a two-part question, that also that the extravagance of this event really is setting the wrong tone. This huge auditorium set up next door, and this huge black tie dinner, which is almost like the hoi polloi thumbing their nose at the 100,000 people who don't have any jobs.
Is that the hoi polloi?
The hoi polloi.
Okay.
Could be that too.
Well, listen, we don't run the inaugural. That's pretty much dictated to us, although I have to say that I thought it was better to serve a meal than to have people bring in their own baskets. People can debate that subject. With respect to the Armory, weather in January can be inclement. For instance, if we had the inauguration last week, it would have been snowed out. So a decision was made to use the Armory for that purpose. I think the cameramen will appreciate that. But
perfectly fine. It was a small.
Listen. Those are details that I don't get involved in, to tell you the truth. Well, I suppose as the governor-elect, if I had decided to exercise that level of control, but honestly, I've been concentrating on filling out the administration and hiring commissioners, for which I think I've done a pretty good job. So I've left some of those details to other people. By the way, I want to be very clear. The Armory is, again, the people's building, and I think it's an appropriate use of it.
Isn't earlier today the main fundraiser for the foot guard, though, too? I mean, isn't that how?
I believe it
is.
This is.
Yeah. So
I believe it is.
So they're raising money from the event to support their operations.
That's correct.
Okay.
You announced another appointment today, another cabinet level post that does not yet exist. Given what you said during the campaign about wanting to cut 15% of gubernatorial appointments, how do you reconcile the two things? Creating a new job. What is it about this job that justifies adding to the list of the roster of gubernatorial appointments?
First of all, I want to be very clear that we'll meet our goal. For instance, we'll start tomorrow with fewer people than currently employed by the present administration, and we will meet our promise with respect to a reduction of employees. Secondly, sometimes you're darned if you do, and you're darned if you don't. If you say something in the course of a campaign, which you meant to say, then I believe you should honor that commitment. And what I said during the campaign, and in fact it was my first policy piece issued back in 2009, that I believed, first of all, that the governor had made a mistake when she had vetoed legislation unanimously passed. That's all of the Republicans and all of the Democrats serving in the Senate and the legislature had voted for legislation that would have created a place at the table for the 300-plus community providers and not-for-profits who are currently under contract with the state. I said I thought that was a mistake. I said that I would have somebody at the table. I'm going to have somebody at the table representing those interests, and in fact, I'm going to have someone at the table who has an experience of having represented the interests of those organizations so that they are treated fairly and with respect. For instance, over a 21-year period of time, the average increase for the support of the not-for-profit and community providers under contract with the state has increased at less than 1.2% per year at a time that you all know state government grew mightily. It's one thing to say that we want to have partnerships and find ways to do things less expensively. It's another thing to take advantage of or abuse or eliminate the ability of organizations to provide the level of services which we are contracting them with, or for, I should say. Another point I want to make. And that is that my administration will not continue the practice of making promises about closing institutions or hospitals or treatment facilities, only then to provide inadequate treatment as the alternative. So Deb's got a pretty big plate, a plate that I described in great and excruciating detail for a politician back in the fall of 2009.
Would you care to comment on the arrest and pending resignation and conviction of Senator Gaffey for double billing the legislature?
It's a personal tragedy. It's a tragedy for the state. I would have wished that this had been resolved substantially earlier. It could have been. It should have been. Having said that, I hope that Senator Gaffey can do as others have done, and that is to recover from his mistakes and go on and live a useful life, but obviously not as a member of the legislature. Thank you all very much. Housekeeping? Housekeeping.
I got a non-housekeeping.
Oh, I don't know. Now you're making me look bad. See, I'm nice to you, and then I've got to talk to Keating. For God's sake.
It's the best part of your day.
Does Mrs.
No, the best part of my day is when I go back and see what you wrote.
That's even better. It only gets better.
I know. Does Mrs. DeJesus and Representative Heinrich have to be approved by the legislature? Do they have to go through the nomination?
You know what? I don't think the legislature approves deputies, do they? You guys have been around longer than I have.
No,
I don't believe they have.
Okay, so she
and nor
doesn't
would
have to.
Heinrich have to be. That's will be under the category of an EA position.
So that does not require the legislation that Governor Rel vetoed to be passed again for her to begin this job. You can make her an executive assistant and have her do the function.
That's what I plan on doing. So and we'll be coming in at substantially less than the commissioner level of compensation. Yes, I'm sorry.
With Deb Heinrich.
This is it. I got to get going.
With Deb Heinrich and other legislators, do you have any fear that you're losing some talent in the legislature? These people are obviously coming to work for you. Obviously, you want all these people, et cetera, and you've got them. Deb Heinrich and others, McDonald Lawler, et cetera. Do you have any fears you're losing some veteran talent in the legislature, and is that a problem, or maybe not?
I am losing some veteran talent in the legislature, and it's my hope that others will step up. Thank you all very much. Great to be with you.